What if a janitor mocked and dismissed by a powerful CEO held the secret power to bring him down? Welcome to the unseen force in the high-rise, a story that'll seize your heart and shatter your expectations with a twist so explosive it'll leave you stunned. Picture this: a woman in a navy blue uniform pushes a mop through a gleaming Chicago high-rise, invisible to the executives who rush past her, until a single act of cruelty ignites a hidden force that changes everything. Buckle up, this tale of prejudice, resilience, and jaw-dropping redemption is about to take you to the top floor of Justice Pinnacle Enterprises' Chicago headquarters. Was a towering monument to ambition, its 40-story glass and steel facade piercing the city skyline, reflecting the hustle of Michigan Avenue below. Inside, the lobby gleamed with polished marble floors, their veins catching the glow of crystal chandeliers that hung like frozen stars. The air carried the faint scent of expensive cologne and fresh lilies from a reception desk manned by a sharply dressed assistant. Elevators hummed, ferrying executives in tailored suits to glass-walled offices where deals were struck and futures decided. The high-rise was a world of power where every click of polished shoes and rustle of silk ties affirmed status, and those who cleaned the floors, emptied the trash, and polished the brass were as invisible as the dust they swept away. For 15 years, Esther Williams had been one of those unseen figures. Her navy blue janitor's uniform, a cloak of anonymity, her mop and bucket, her constant companions. But beneath her unassuming exterior lay a secret that would shake Pinnacle to its foundations. Esther 50 was a black woman whose quiet strength belied a life of grit and strategy. Her short graying hair was tucked beneath a cap, her face lined with years of late nights and early mornings. Her dark eyes sharp with the wisdom of someone who'd seen too much to be surprised. She'd grown up in Englewood, where dreams were hard-won, and her uncle, a savvy investor, had left her a fortune in Pinnacle shares when he died. 15 years ago, a secret she'd kept choosing to stay on as a janitor to watch the company she part-owned from the ground up. Her uniform, slightly frayed at the cuffs, was her disguise, her mop a tool for blending in, but her mind was a vault storing every slight, every overheard conversation, every glimpse of corruption in Pinnacle's gleaming halls. She wasn't here to impress. She was here to observe, to wait, to wield her unseen power when the moment was right. Today, that moment was closer than ever, sparked by a spilled coffee and a CEO's cruel laugh that would change everything. Esther pushed her cleaning cart through the lobby, the wheels rattling softly, her bucket sloshing with soapy water. The morning rush was in full swing, executives striding past their briefcases, swinging their voices, a cacophony of stock prices and lunch plans. To them, Esther was a fixture no more noticed than the marble she polished or the trash cans she emptied. She kept her head down, her cap shielding her eyes, but she saw everything. The way the receptionist smirked when a janitor asked for a pen, the way managers ignored her colleagues' greetings, the way power flowed upward, leaving those at the bottom to drown in its wake. Her co-worker Jamal, a 30-year-old janitor with a quick smile and a knack for tech, mopped nearby, his earbuds in his navy uniform matching hers. Jamal was her ally, the one who taught her to snap photos with her phone, capturing the papers executives thought they'd shredded. Aisha, a young assistant in a crisp blazer, darted past her heels, clicking her arms full of files for the boardroom. Aisha was kind, slipping Esther coffee on late shifts, but even she rushed by today, caught in the high-rise's relentless pace. The lobby's calm shattered when Richard Vance, Pinnacle's CEO, strutted through the revolving doors, his entourage of executives trailing like a pack of loyal dogs. At 45, Richard was a man who wore power like his tailored navy suit, his slicked back hair and sharp jaw, a caricature of corporate dominance. His voice boomed, his laugh cutting through the lobby as he barked orders into a Bluetooth earpiece, his Rolex glinting with every gesture. Mr. and Mrs. Langley board members in their 60s flanked him, their pearl earrings and pinstripe suit, a testament to their wealth, their smug smiles echoing Richard's arrogance. They were the high-rise's elite untouchable, their eyes sliding past Esther as if she were a shadow. But shadows see everything, and Esther had been watching Richard for years, his lavish spending, his ruthless layoffs, his late-night shredding of financial reports that didn't add up. She'd photographed those papers, tucked them into her cart, her secret arsenal growing with every shift. The incident began with a spilled coffee near the elevator, a dark stain spreading across the marble. Likely from one of Richard's crew, Esther was mopping a nearby corner when Richard's gaze landed on her, his smirk widening. "Clean it up, Grandma," he barked, pointing at the spill, his voice loud enough to halt conversations. The lobby turned executives chuckling, staff glancing away, the receptionist stifling a giggle. Esther's face burned her grip, tightening on the mop. The word grandma, a blade meant to cut her down. Richard laughed, his entourage joining in. Mr. Langley's pinstripe suit shaking with mirth, Mrs. Langley's earrings glinting as she nodded approvingly. "Hurry up, we've got meetings," Richard added, his tone dripping with disdain. Jamal, mopping nearby, froze his earbuds out, his phone slipping into his pocket as he discreetly hit record. Capturing Richard's cruelty. The video, a spark that would ignite a firestorm. Esther stood still, her heart pounding, her mop dripping onto the marble. She wanted to shout, to throw the bucket at Richard's polished shoes, but she swallowed the rage, her years of restraint a shield. She knelt, mopping the spill, her movements deliberate, her silence a quiet rebellion. The lobby's laughter faded, but the sting lingered, the word grandma echoing in her mind. As Richard and his crew strode to the elevators, their clicks fading, Esther rose, her eyes meeting Jamal's. He gave a subtle nod, his phone still recording his voice low. "I got it," he whispered, sending the video to his sister, a social media-savvy college student who'd ensure it reached the right eyes. Aisha, passing by with her files, paused, her face softening. "You okay, Mill?" "Esther," she asked, her voice a rare kindness. Esther nodded, her cap shielding her eyes. "I will be." She said her words a promise to herself that night. Esther pushed her cart through Pinnacle's empty offices, the Chicago skyline glittering beyond the giant windows, a city of lights that never noticed her. Richard's corner office was a mess. Scattered papers, coffee cups, a half-eaten sandwich, as if he owned the space and everyone in it. She'd heard him during the day firing a junior analyst, without a glance laughing about cutting the fat with his cronies, shredding documents that smelled of fraud. Esther had been collecting those papers for years, snapping photos with her phone, stuffing them into her cart. Her evidence, a ticking bomb. Tonight, as she dusted his desk, she found an email printout carelessly tossed. "Squeeze the little people layoffs by Q3. Her hands shook, but she photographed it, her resolve hardening. Jamal joined her, his mop idle, his voice a whisper. "You see that video I sent?" he asked, his eyes bright. "It's blowing up online." Esther's phone buzzed, her screen lighting up with notifications. CEO humiliates janitor, and Pinnacle's a disgrace. The video posted by Jamal's sister was at 50,000 views. At Pinnacle, shame trending. Esther's heart raced, not with fear, but with purpose. She'd endured Richard's slights for years, his sneers, his orders, his assumption that she was nothing but the coffee spill. The grandma taunt was the final straw. She wasn't just a janitor, she was the majority shareholder of Pinnacle Enterprises. Her uncle's legacy, a secret she'd guarded since his death. She could have cashed out, retired to a quiet life, but she stayed mopping floors, watching Richard turn her company into a playground for his ego. Those shares were her ace, her power to end his reign, and the time had come to play it. She called Tom Reynolds, her old friend and lawyer, her voice steady despite the late hour. "Tom, it's time," she said, her words a vow. "Let's take him down." Tom's voice crackled through the phone, sharp with excitement. "You're the majority shareholder, Esther. We hit him at the shareholders' meeting. Hard." Esther nodded, her mop still in hand, her bucket rattling as she pushed it down the hall. The skyline a witness to her resolve. The shareholders' meeting was a week away, and Esther kept her head down, her routine unchanged. She mopped the lobby, emptied trash cans, polished brass, her navy uniform a perfect disguise as executives rushed past, oblivious to the storm brewing. Richard strutted through the high-rise, his navy suit gleaming, his voice booming about record profits, his Rolex flashing with every gesture. Mr. and Mrs. Langley trailed him, their boardroom influence a shield for his excesses, their smiles smug as they discussed yacht purchases and tax loopholes. But Esther was watching, her phone buzzing with Tom's text. Evidence is airtight. She slipped into the copy room late at night, printing emails she'd fished from Richard's trash, proof of harassment, falsified reports, illegal layoffs. Her hands trembled, but her heart was alive. Each document a step toward justice. Jamal, her shadow, helped his tech skills, scanning files for keywords. Their secret alliance, a quiet rebellion in the high-rise's sterile halls. One night, Esther overheard Richard on a call in his office, his voice a low growl. "Squeeze the little people more. Cuts by spring." He laughed, oblivious to her presence outside the door. She smiled, her phone recording the audio, a dagger she'd wield at the meeting. Aisha, working late, caught her in the hall, her blazer rumpled, her eyes curious. "You're up to something." "Ms. Esther," she said, her voice soft. Esther's cap tilted, her smile faint. "Just cleaning," she said. But Aisha's nod was knowing her support, a spark in the darkness. The video, now at 100,000 views, fueled online outrage, comments raging. Fire, that CEO and janitors deserve respect. The hashtag unseen force emerged, a tribute to Esther's quiet strength, the world watching as her plan took shape. The night before the meeting, Esther couldn't sleep. Her tiny apartment, a cocoon of resolve. She sat at her kitchen table, the stack of evidence Tom had organized spread before her: emails, photos, financial discrepancies, all proof of Richard's corruption. Her navy uniform hung on a chair, its bleach scent a reminder of her 15 years of invisibility. She thought of her uncle, his trust in her to protect Pinnacle, his belief that power wasn't in titles but in purpose. This wasn't just for her, it was for Jamal, Aisha. Every janitor and assistant Richard had crushed, she whispered to herself. Tomorrow Richard's done, her voice a vow etched in the silence. Her phone buzzed, a news alert. Pinnacle CEO faces backlash over janitor video. The video hit 200,000 views, hashtag Pinnacle shame trending globally, the world unaware of the unseen force about to strike. The morning of the shareholders meeting, Esther walked into Pinnacle as always, her bucket rattling, her cap low, her navy uniform, a perfect mask. The lobby buzzed with executives, their suits, a sea of power, their voices a hum of profit forecasts. The boardroom, a glass-walled fortress on the 40th floor, was alive with suits and egos. Richard at the head of the mahogany table, his smirk a crown, his Rolex gleaming. Mr. and Mrs. Langley sat nearby, their boardroom, cloud a shield for Richard's excess, their smiles smug as they sipped coffee. Esther waited in the hall, her cart a prop, her heart steady as Tom's text arrived. Now, she pushed through the boardroom doors, her uniform drawing, Snickers, her bucket rattling, every head turning in confusion. Richard snorted, his voice booming. "What's she doing here?" he barked, waving her off. "Get back to your mop, lady." Esther stepped forward, her cap off, her dark eyes piercing the room. The board chuckled their laughter, a chorus of dismissal, but she didn't flinch. "I'm not just the cleaning lady, Richard," she said, her voice steady, cutting through the noise like a blade. "I'm Esther Williams, majority shareholder of Pinnacle Enterprises, and I own this company." The room fell silent, a pin-drop hush that swallowed every smirk. Richard's laugh was loud, fake, his face reddening. "Nice joke, sweetheart," he said, his tone dripping with scorn. "Get out before I call security." The board's nervous chuckles echoed, but Esther's gaze was unrelenting. She pulled a folder from her cart, slapping it onto the mahogany table, its pages spilling emails. Financial reports, proof of Richard's fraud and harassment. Falsified reports, illegal layoffs. Your own words calling us disposable. She read her voice rising, the board's faces paling. "I've got the shares, and I've got the votes." Tom stepped in his briefcase, heavy with legal documents confirming Esther's ownership, his voice calm but firm. "Williams holds 52% of Pinnacle's shares," he said, passing papers to the board. Richard's jaw tightened, his fists clenching. "You can't do this," he sputtered, his Rolex flashing as he pointed. Esther cut him off, her voice a quiet thunderclap. "Oh, I can," she said. "You're fired. Richard, right now." The boardroom erupted in whispers, faces stunned the air thick with disbelief. Jamal's video, now at 500,000 views, played on Aisha's phone in the hall, her gasp echoing as she watched Esther's stand, the clip destined to go viral. Richard's face reddened, his voice a hiss. "This isn't over," he said, storming toward the door, his entourage trailing, their smugness shattered. Esther turned to the board, her uniform a badge of power. "Things changed today," she said, her voice steady. "No more layoffs for profit, no more treating people like trash." The board's silence was a verdict, their tentative claps growing louder, a reluctant acknowledgement of Esther's authority. She pulled out her phone, showing a photo of the cleaning crew. "These folks deserve raises, starting now." She said, her words a command. Aisha, now in the room, clapped her blazer, a quiet rebellion, her support a spark for change. Jamal stood by the door, his phone still recording, his smile wide as the video hit 1 million views. Sight unseen force trending globally, comments raging. "She's a queen," and "take down the suits." Esther stood tall, her bucket forgotten, her mop, a relic of a life she'd transcended. The high-rise was no longer Richard's playground. It was hers, and the unseen force she'd unleashed was just beginning to reshape its gleaming halls. The stage was set for a reckoning, with Esther's quiet power ready to redefine a company in a world watching in awe. The boardroom of Pinnacle Enterprises was a glass-walled arena, its mahogany table and Chicago skyline backdrop, a stark contrast to the seismic shift unfolding within. Esther Williams, a 50-year-old black janitor in a Navy uniform, stood at the head of the table, her mop and bucket abandoned, her dark eyes blazing with unyielding resolve. Moments ago, she'd revealed herself as the majority shareholder, wielding 52% of Pinnacle's shares to oust CEO Richard Vance, whose tailored Navy suit and Rolex now seemed hollow as he stormed out, his face red with fury. The viral video captured by her co-worker Jamal had exploded online. It's footage of Richard's cruel clean it up grandma taunt, amassing 2 million views with hashtags #Pinnacle Shame and #Unseen Force trending globally. The clip had turned Pinnacle's gleaming high-rise into a symbol of corporate arrogance, and Esther's stand was its reckoning. Jamal, the 30-year-old janitor, stood by the door, his phone still recording his Navy uniform, a quiet badge of solidarity. Aisha, the young assistant in a crisp blazer, watched from the sidelines, her eyes wide with awe. Her support, a spark in the room's charged air. Mr. and Mrs. Langley, the elitist board members in 1A and 1B, sat stunned, their pearl earrings and pinstripe suit, no shield against the collapse of their allies' reign. The boardroom was no longer a fortress of power. It was Esther's battlefield, and her unseen force was rewriting the rules. The board's silence was deafening, their faces pale, their tailored suits in silk ties, a facade of authority now crumbling under Esther's gaze. Her folder of evidence emails, falsified reports, proof of Richard's fraud and harassment lay open on the table, its pages a damning indictment. This company's been run like a personal piggy bank, Esther said, her voice steady, cutting through the room like a blade. Illegal layoffs, cooked books, workers treated like trash. That ends today. The board shifted uncomfortably, some nodding, others frozen, their complicity exposed. Tom Reynolds, Esther's lawyer, stood beside her, his briefcase heavy with legal documents, his voice calm but firm. Ms. Williams holds controlling shares, he said, passing notarized papers to the board. Her vote to remove Mr. Vance is binding. Effective immediately, she assumes interim CEO authority. The room gasped, whispers erupting, the board's stunned faces, a testament to Esther's power. Richard's exit had left a vacuum. His cronies, executives who'd laughed at Esther's humiliation, scrambling to distance themselves. Mr. Langley, his pinstripe suit creased, cleared his throat, his voice shaky. Mrs. Williams, we had no idea about the shares, he said, his earlier smugness gone. We supported Richard's vision, but we see now. Esther cut him off, her gaze piercing. You saw me every day, she said, her voice low but resonant. You saw us all, janitors, assistants, the little people, and you looked away. That's not vision. That's blindness. Mrs. Langley's earrings glinted, her face flushing with shame. We were wrong, she said, her voice trembling, her boardroom clout humbled. We'll back your changes. The board nodded, their attentive applause a reluctant acknowledgement of Esther's authority. The room's power dynamic flipped in a single moment. Jamal's video, now at 3 million views, fueled a digital firestorm, comments raging. She's a legend and Pinnacle's done. The clip showing Richard's taunt and Esther's quiet endurance had sparked a global conversation, with workers sharing stories of corporate abuse, turning how an unseen force into a movement for workplace dignity. Aisha, her blazer, a quiet rebellion, stepped forward, her voice soft but clear. Ms. Esther, the staff's behind you, she said, her eyes shining. We've been waiting for someone to stand up. Esther nodded, her cap off her graying hair, a crown of resilience. We're standing now, she said, her words a vow. The boardroom's glass walls reflected the skyline, but the real view was Esther's vision. A company where respect wasn't a privilege, but a right. Esther revealed a bombshell, her voice steady as she held up a printed email from Richard's trash. This is a directive to falsify Q2 earnings, she said, passing it to the board. And here's proof of a $2 million board fund shielding executives from harassment claims. The room gasped, faces paling, the Langley couple exchanging panicked glances. Tom's voice cut in, his legal precision. Sharp, this fund, approved by certain board members, paid legal fees for executives like Vance, burying complaints from workers like Ms. Williams' crew. He said, his documents detailing payouts. We've alerted regulators. The SEC's already investigating. The board's murmurs turned to outrage. Some members glaring at the Langleys, their complicity, a stain they couldn't erase. Mr. Langley's voice trembled. We didn't know the extent, he stammered. But Esther's gaze was unrelenting. You didn't want to know, she said. That's worse. The board voted unanimously to dissolve the fund, their hands shaking as they signed Tom's motions, their authority ceding to Esther's command. She turned to the room, her uniform, a badge of power, her voice rising. No more layoffs for profit, she declared. No more treating his staff like garbage. Raises for the cleaning crew. Better hours, equipment that works. And a suggestion box. Every voice counts. The board nodded, their applause louder, now a mix of fear and respect. Aisha's phone buzzed, her social media feed flooded with support. Jamal's video, hitting 5 million views. Comments a global chorus. She's rewriting corporate America and respect the unseen. Jamal grinning, his Navy uniform a quiet rebellion. His video, a spark that had ignited a revolution. Esther's next move was strategic, her voice calm but firm. I'm interim, CEO until we rebuild, she said, her gaze sweeping the board. But I'm not here to sit in your chairs, I'm here to fix what you broke. The board's silence was a surrender, their egos humbled by a janitor who'd outmaneuvered them all. Mrs. Langley stood, her earrings dimmed by her shame. Ms. Williams, I failed you, she said, her voice breaking. I'll resign if you ask, Esther paused, her wisdom outweighing her anger. Stay, she said, but work for the people you ignored. The boardroom's tension eased, a fragile alliance forming the skyline, a witness to a new era. Aisha's video hit 7 million views, comments now demanding reform. She's a hero and Pinnacle change or bust. Richard didn't vanish quietly. As Esther left the boardroom, her bucket left behind, she saw him in the lobby, pacing, yelling into his phone. His Navy suit rumpled, his Rolex a futile trophy. This isn't over, he shouted, spotting her. His face a mask of rage. Esther met his gaze, her voice steady. It is for you, she said, walking past, her sneakers soft on the marble. Jamal's video captured the exchange, uploaded as a follow-up, now at 8 million views. Comments tearing Richard apart. He's done, and Esther's the boss. The boardroom's decision leaked online. News alerts flashing. Pinnacle CEO ousted, but janitor shareholder. Regulators tipped by Tom froze Richard's accounts. His yacht seized his name, a trending punchline. Aisha, now a vocal ally, posted on her blog, Sky Truth amplifying the story. Her words a call to action. Support Esther, respect starts at the bottom. Esther's stand revealed a deeper truth. Pinnacle's culture had festered under Richard, but the board's silence had enabled it. She uncovered a secret email chain buried in the fund's records, showing Mr. Langley's approval of payouts to silence harassed workers. This stops now, she told the board, her voice a command, her evidence a weapon. The Langleys' faces crumpled, their boardroom clout, evaporating, their resignation offers a desperate plea. Esther's response was measured. Earn your place, she said, her wisdom a guide for reform. Jamal's video hit 10 million views. The hashtag had unseen force. A global movement, workers worldwide sharing stories of corporate abuse inspired by Esther's courage. As the boardroom cleared, Esther stood alone, the skyline glittering beyond the glass, her uniform a symbol of her journey from invisibility to power. She wasn't done. Her evidence had sparked an SEC probe, and her reforms were just beginning. Aisha approached her blazer, a quiet rebellion. You changed everything. Ms. Esther, she said, her eyes shining. Esther's smile was faint, her voice steady. We're just starting, she said, her words a promise. The high-rise was hers now. Its marble floors no longer a stage for Richard's arrogance, but a platform for Esther's vision. The world watched the video, a viral testament to her unseen force and the real battle for a company where every worker was seen was about to begin. Pinnacle Enterprises' Chicago high-rise stood transformed, its glass facade and marble lobby no longer a monument to elitism, but a beacon of change reshaped by Esther Williams' seismic victory. The viral video captured by janitor Jamal had skyrocketed to 20 million views. Its footage of former CEO Richard Vance's cruel clean-it-up grandma taunt and Esther's boardroom triumph as majority shareholder, fueling a global movement. Hashtags, #unseen, force, and #Pinnacle. Shame dominated social media, turning Pinnacle's name into a rallying cry for workplace dignity. Esther, the 50-year-old black janitor who'd spent 15 years invisible, now stood as interim CEO, her Navy uniform replaced by jeans and a sweater. Her dark eyes a quiet force of authority. Richard, his Navy suit and Rolex relics of a fallen empire, faced legal ruin. His accounts frozen, his reputation shredded. Jamal, the 30-year-old janitor, was Esther's ally. His phone, a tool for justice. His Navy uniform, a badge of pride. Aisha, the assistant in a crisp blazer, amplified the story through her blog. Sky Truth, her dark braid, a symbol of advocacy. Mr. and Mrs. Langley, the once elitist board members, worked to atone their pearl earrings and pinstripe suit, humbled by Esther's reforms. The high-rise was no longer Richard's playground. It was Esther's legacy, a testament to the unseen force of resilience and justice. The fallout was relentless. By the time Esther settled into Richard's former office, Jamal's video had hit 25 million views. Comments flooding in Esther's "a queen and workers deserve respect." News outlets ran headlines like "Janitor turns CEO, ousts corporate bully" in Pinnacle's revolution, while influencers shared the clip, amplifying #UnseenForce into a global call for corporate accountability. Workers worldwide posted stories of workplace slights, from ignored complaints to unfair firings inspired by Esther's stand. The SEC, tipped by Esther's evidence, launched a full probe into Pinnacle's $2 million board fund, which had shielded executives like Richard from harassment claims, leading to indictments of 3 board members, including Langley. Pinnacle's stock dipped briefly but rebounded as investors praised Esther's ethical vision, her interim leadership a promise of renewal. Maya Kim, a journalist for Chicago Business Review, published "The Unseen Force: How a Janitor Saved Pinnacle," the article going viral with millions of shares, framing Esther as a hero for the overlooked. Inside Pinnacle, the culture shifted palpably. Esther walked the halls, her jeans and sweater, a stark contrast to the suits that once ignored her, her presence commanding respect. Employees smiled not out of fear but genuine warmth, their voices heard in the suggestion box she'd installed. The cleaning crew, once invisible, mobbed her in the break room, their Navy uniforms a shared badge. "Ms. Esther, you did it," said Miguel, a janitor, handing her a coffee, his grin wide. Esther laughed, her first in years, the warmth a stark contrast to Richard's cold rain. Jamal, now a facilities coordinator, worked alongside her, his tech skills streamlining operations, his video a catalyst that had changed their world. Aisha's blog grew, partnering with Maya to amplify worker stories, her posts trending. Support Esther, dignity starts at the bottom. The video hit 30 million views. Comments a global chorus. She's rewriting history and respect. Every worker. Esther's reforms were swift and transformative. She scrapped Richard's layoff plans, redirecting profits to raises for the cleaning crew, better hours, and durable equipment, gloves that didn't rip, mops that didn't break. The suggestion box overflowed, one note reading, "More coffee in the break room," which Esther framed on her desk, a reminder of her roots. She launched the Williams Equity Initiative, a $3 million program for ethical training and mentorship targeting underserved workers. At a staff meeting, she stood before hundreds, her voice steady. "This company isn't about suits or titles," she said, her sweater a quiet rebellion. "It's about every person who keeps it running." "You're seen now." The room erupted in applause, Aisha's eyes shining. Jamal's phone capturing the moment, the video hitting 35 million views, comments praising her vision. "She's the leader we need." Richard faced a brutal reckoning. The SEC probe uncovered his falsified reports, leading to fraud charges. His yacht and penthouse seized his name, a trending punchline. Online memes of his boardroom meltdown, screaming as Esther fired him, circulated, his former allies distancing themselves. A cable show interview backfired, his rant about Esther stealing his company, mocked relentlessly, his legal fees piling up. In a surprising twist, Richard contacted Esther months later, offering to volunteer at a community center, seeking redemption. She met him, her gaze piercing but open. "Actions speak louder than words," she said, her wisdom a guide. Richard's commitment to mentoring at-risk youth earned cautious respect. His transformation, a quiet echo of Esther's influence, though she never forgot his cruelty. The Langleys atoned through action, funding scholarships for the Equity Initiative, their boardroom clout redirected to support Esther's reforms. "We failed you, Miss Williams," Mrs. Langley said, her earrings dimmed by humility. "We'll make it right, Mr." Langley resigned his pinstripe suit, a relic, but his wife stayed working to rebuild trust. Aisha, now a staff advocate, led workshops on workplace equity, her blazer a symbol of change, her blog, a platform for the voiceless. Jamal's promotion inspired other janitors, his tech skills, modernizing Pinnacle's operations, his grin, a reminder of their shared victory. Maya's follow-up article from Mopped to Mission sparked corporate reforms nationwide, with companies adopting Esther's suggestion box model. Her legacy, a blueprint for dignity. Esther's personal transformation was profound. She mentored youth through the Equity Initiative meeting. Eli Carter is a boy from another story whose kickboxing dreams echoed her resilience. Their shared strength, a bond. Her apartment, once a quiet refuge, buzzed with calls, reporters, workers, even a White House aide inviting her to a labor summit. She accepted, speaking plainly. I wasn't invisible. You chose not to see me. Respect isn't earned by titles, it's owed to every worker. The room stood their applause, a heavy acknowledgement, her words a wake-up call. The Smithsonian requested her evidence folder for a workers' rights exhibit. Its final page, a photo of the cleaning crew captioned, "We were always here, Pinnacle thrived under Esther." Its halls alive with collaboration, its profits ethical, its culture a model for corporate America. Cleaning crews' raises became permanent, their voices shaping policy, their Navy uniforms, a badge of pride. Esther, no longer unseen, walked the lobby, her sneakers soft on the marble, her smile a quiet victory. Richard, last heard selling cars in obscurity, was a footnote, his empire a cautionary tale. Esther's legacy wasn't in the high-rises' glass walls, but in the workers. She uplifted the systems she changed and the truth she refused to bury. The suggestion box overflowed, one note reading, "Keep being you, Ms. Esther." She did her unseen force now, a visible light inspiring a world to see the power in every shadow. Have you ever been overlooked for who you are? Share your story in the comments and let's inspire each other. Hit that subscribe button for more epic tales that'll change how you see the world. This is PA Storytime, and we're just getting started.